WVME presents Racine and Me, a weekly look at the events and issues for Racine. Now, here is your host from CBS 58 News, Jennifer Tomazik.
Good morning, I'm Jennifer Tomazik. Welcome to Racine and Me this morning. Well, the city of Racine has one of the highest unemployment rates in the state, but that doesn't mean that there are not jobs out there. Here to tell us a little bit about the Racine Community Career Fair that's coming up are Jane Carrillo and Kristen Schroeder with the Racine County Workforce Development Center. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Certainly appreciate it. I want to start off with just a couple statistics this morning. We are awaiting the latest unemployment rates coming out of Madison for the state. In January, though, they were 7.4%, and that didn't change much from December. What is the case in Racine County? Because I know the city is a little bit different than the actual county numbers.
The city is a little bit higher because over the years companies have moved out of the area, out of the city. Maybe their jobs moved south or over the borders and into other countries, and the workers stayed in the inner city, and so therefore they might not be able to find jobs to replace the ones that they lost.
And how about within the county? Kristen, what are the numbers like within the county of Racine?
Sure, our county number is a little bit lower at about 9.5%, so substantially lower than the city.
And is that just that there are more opportunities because it's a greater landmass, that there's more jobs for the people out there?
Definitely, our county is much more widespread than the inner city of Racine.
Okay, so just with that idea in mind, I have some numbers here that the total number of jobs in Wisconsin increased by 5,200 within February. So that's good news. So are you seeing things turning around in Racine?
Definitely. We have many, many employers that are looking for workers, and that's why we're hosting the career fair.
Okay, and speaking of that, that is coming up here shortly, and these are things that you all with the Workforce Development Center hold a lot during the year?
Usually about 4 times a year, either on our own or as partners with other organizations or other workforce development centers in our area.
And why do you find that these things are so needed in your community?
Well, there are a lot of employers that are struggling to find work, and it's hard for job seekers to get face time in today's electronic age, so they'll come out to the job fair so that they can actually talk with people.
And I think what's interesting about what you just said is that employers are struggling. Folks watching may think, well, gosh, I'm unemployed. I'm the one that's having the hard time. But Kristen, how are employers struggling right now?
We're finding that there is a skill gap of job seekers and employers, and also with that, employers are really struggling because a lot of their workforce is now getting to that baby boomer age where they're getting ready to retire within the next 4 years or so. So they're going to find that people that have worked for them for 30, 40 years are getting ready to leave the workforce and really trying to find a new skill set to get in there.
And what are some of these areas that we're talking about within Racine County that are having some trouble keeping the workforce up?
Skilled machinists, CNC operators. There's a lot of openings in healthcare also.
Any other specifics? Kristen, I know you work with a lot of some of the bigger corporations within the county.
I do. Really, like Jane just mentioned, it's more on the manufacturing side and healthcare side. We're starting to see that skill gap of the demand for CNC machinists or CNC programmers, setups, really anything along the manufacturing world right now.
And when we talk about skill gap, what is the difference between just not having a particular skill to what these folks are looking for within this skill gap now? What is it? What is a skill gap?
I think, oh,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, coming from the manufacturing side, we're really trying to get a more partnership created with the school systems so that we're teaching young students that, manufacturing isn't what it used to be. It's really changed. It's not your grandfather's manufacturing where it's dirty and, there's high turnover. It's much leaner, it's cleaner, and it's more automated. There's a lot of robotics and very cool systems that you can work with nowadays. So it's really trying to teach them that, if college isn't a career for you or that's not your career pathway, there's still a lot of other job opportunities available.
And what are some companies, Jane, within Racine County that cater to these kind of jobs?
Some of the larger companies would be Twin Disc, Insinkerator, Case New Holland, and we've got smaller companies, a lot of the job shops. There's probably too many to mention. But what they're finding is as people are retiring, maybe the person that's retiring was more of a button pusher. They didn't do the programming, but they worked at the same machine for years and years. They made the same parts. They did a fabulous job. But now as they're leaving the workforce, the company needs somebody who can come in and actually program the machine, and that's a completely enhanced skill compared to what the person that was just running the machine does. And that's where the skill gap comes in. And that's why there's a need for more training, and Gateway is a great partner with us for providing that training.
And Gateway Technical College is where you all are hosting this career fair coming up here in just a couple of weeks. Is this an opportunity for folks to go there and maybe sign up for some of these classes too that they are available?
Definitely. Gateway will have a booth where they'll be able to talk with job seekers about classes that they can take to prepare for jobs that they're seeing as currently open and what are projected in the future. And they offer short-term classes and long-term associate degree.
And I would assume that they've probably been working with these companies too to figure out, okay, how can we cater to you to make sure that you have the right people coming in?
Definitely.
And what all, Kristen, do you have any idea of some of these classes that they're offering to try to help these folks out?
Sure, absolutely. Gateway, really, a lot of them think of Gateway as a technical college, but it's really, they also have a workforce and economic development division that provides training to employers throughout the area. So they can start anywhere from, in the machine shop to, learning how to do machining, all the way up to supervisory training or project management. So it's all across the board. Whatever the employer's needs are, Gateway's very flexible to adapt to their training needs.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about healthcare, which is another industry that is definitely looking for some folks, as well as more about the career fair. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're looking for a job within Racine County, then we have some good news for you this morning, because there's a career fair that's coming up in just a couple of weeks here. We'll tell you about that in just a second. But first, I want to touch on, Jane, a little bit more about opportunities that are available within Racine County. And you said healthcare is one industry that is looking for some good skilled workers. So tell me what about some companies that are looking for folks.
We have many companies that are looking for healthcare workers, ranging from entry-level personal care workers up through skilled RNs. And a lot of the companies are smaller companies that provide in-home care so that individuals can stay in their homes rather than going into a nursing home.
And we were just talking here within the break, and you said some of the in-home care just goes from being able to get out of bed in the morning. It's not something, I guess, that you really think about that would be much of a need, but there is a need for this, Kristen, within the community?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned before, we're seeing that baby boomer age get up to that age where, they may be ready to go into assisted living or a nursing home type facility, but a lot of them really just want to stay home. And so there are some very entry-level jobs, personal care workers, as well as home health aides, that individuals, if they just need help, getting ready up in the morning, or maybe helping with their grocery shopping, or just their basic needs of brushing their teeth. There are very many entry-level positions that individuals can go into to go to that individual's home and help them with those daily chores that some of us take for granted on a regular basis.
And Jane, with the Workforce Development Center, what can you guys do to help somebody who might be interested in this field?
We have provided a variety of informational sessions about these types of jobs for job seekers, and we help connect them with some of the local employers who are looking to fill these positions. And they're always recruiting. We always have applications on hand in our resource room at the Workforce Development Center, so people can come in and apply for these jobs pretty much any day of the week.
Really? And do they have a good chance of being selected for one of these careers too?
I would think so. In healthcare, there are certain requirements as far as background checking that they would have to pass. But if they're interested in taking care of individuals, or they might have some experience taking care of a family member or a child, they would have a good chance of getting into one of these programs.
Now, will you have some folks from the healthcare industry at the career fair?
We will.
Okay, anyone specific right now that's signed up?
Sure, actually there are several. We have Brightstar, Society's Assets, Oak Ridge Community Care Center in Union Grove, and then Wheaton Franciscan All Saints.
Okay. And so this kind of leads us into the career fair, and it's coming up on April 12th. So Kristen, tell me a little bit about what folks should expect.
Sure. We're still recruiting for employers to attend, so we have about 10 employers signed up right now, and hoping to grow that number up to potentially 40 over the next week or so here coming up. But our fair is April 12th from 1 to 5 at the Gateway Building in Racine. And really, they can just expect to have that one-on-one conversation with an employer to find out if maybe they're a good fit for them, as well as Gateway Technical College will be there to talk about different career paths. So if you're thinking about going back to school, or you're just not sure and you want to talk to someone can be there to assist you with that.
And I think what's great about this is the face-to-face time, because oftentimes when you're starting to look for a new job, you think, gosh, my resume is just going to get shuffled in this pile with everyone else's. How do you set yourself apart? So this is something that unique that you all can offer.
Definitely. Individuals will have a chance to talk one-on-one. They should plan to be dressed professionally. They wouldn't have to wear a suit, but they also don't want to come wearing ripped jeans or anything like that.
So some nice dress slacks, maybe a sweater or jacket if they have one.
Sure.
And what kind of things should folks have on hand with them?
They should definitely bring copies of their resumes, and they should bring a notepad and pen so they can take notes of who they talked to so that they can do follow-up after the event. The employers will be talking to so many job seekers that they won't be able to keep track of who they spoke with. So the prepared job seeker that comes with their notepad will be able to take some notes and then do a really good follow-up.
Right, and along the lines of the resume, it kind of seems like that changes all the time. Should you have the objective at the top? Should you not? Kristen, what are some suggestions that you have as far as making sure that your resume is very complete and clear and concise?
Yeah, I think we see over the years it changes a lot. But we also, on our staff at the Workforce Development Center, we have career counselors as well as employment consultants that can sit with you maybe potentially before the career fair to go through your resume and kind of help you with it and assist you along the way if you need to update it or change a few things, or maybe you want to condense it to 1 page or broaden it to 2 pages. We have a resume lab that you can get assistance with, as well as if you need to print some resumes before you come. We have a copy machine that individuals can use for free to get their resume printed on resume paper, so it's nice and professional and up to date before you go.
Yeah, don't want it on any crinkled paper like I have sitting a bunch here in my lap. What about any type of cover letter? Is that something, or references that folks should bring?
They probably wouldn't need them for the career fair because if the employer wants to interview them, they can ask for those later. They should have them, but they wouldn't have to have a copy for every employer they talk to.
And how about, I remember in the past just doing stories and folks saying, be leery if somebody wants to hire you right on the spot. How do you feel about that?
It would be unusual these days for somebody to hire on the spot, especially with the days of background checking and drug testing. Typically employers wouldn't hire on the spot. And if somebody was willing to hire on the spot, usually there's some kind of condition that the job seeker would have to pass in order to really get that job.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of something maybe that used to happen, but now it's so many people fighting for that one position that they do have to be selective on that. And Kristen, you all are still taking applications from employers, correct?
We are.
Up until when?
Really, if they're interested until the day before or so, we're definitely, wanting to take them on. But we have a lot of information on our website, so employers as well as job seekers can always visit our website to learn more. And, if their employers are still interested, like I said, we'll take them up until, a couple days before the fair.
Okay, fantastic. Well, there are so many more programs within the Workforce Development Center to talk about, so we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll tell you about some more things that you can learn about at the Workforce Development Center in Racine County. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, the Workforce Development Center in Racine County is a great resource if you have a job or if you don't have a job. So here to tell us this morning a little bit about some more of the things that are offered are Kristen and Jane. And Jane, I want to talk to you about work keys, because apparently this is something that is very beneficial for job seekers these days.
Definitely. WorkKeys is a product of ACT, which is well known for its college placement exams.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so individuals can take the WorkKeys assessments. We offer applied math, reading for information, and locating information. And if they take all 3 of the assessments and pass them, they would get a certificate called the National Career Readiness Certificate. And we're working with employers to help educate them on the value of the National Career Readiness Certificate so that they can require it for their jobs. So the more employers who are asking for it, the more beneficial it will be for workers, job seekers, to get those credentials.
And essentially, how does this differentiate between somebody who has this WorkKeys certificate and somebody who doesn't? Why does it make them more qualified for a job?
Oftentimes it's difficult to tell from a high school diploma or GED what skills an individual has mastered. Perhaps it means that they just showed up to school every day and did their best and were able to get that diploma. But if they pass the WorkKeys assessments at various levels, it will show that they actually mastered the skills, not that they just got by with the minimum requirements.
So is this something for someone who might not have a college degree, or is this good for people that even have college degrees as well?
It could be for anyone. Even if they don't have a high school diploma, they could still take the WorkKeys assessments and get the certificate. Okay,
Kristen, I know you said you work with larger companies. Are you finding that these employers are looking for this these days?
Yes, we are. We're still trying to educate employers on what it is, but we do have a handful of employers, and especially ones that are coming to our career fair, that do require some of their positions or prefer that they are WorkKeys ready, and they do want the certificate before they come to their workforce.
So Jane, if folks are interested in learning more about the WorkKeys, what do they need to do?
They would need to register on the jobcenterofwisconsin.com, and then they would contact our Workforce Development Center to get a login ID for a program called KeyTrain, where they can take a pre-test for WorkKeys. And depending on the results of that pre-test, they would either continue working in KeyTrain to build their skills, or they would schedule an actual time to come in and take the assessment in person.
So you might need a little refresher course on some of these things, perhaps. I know it would be math for me.
Same for me.
It's been a while since I've done some of that that longhand math, but well, that's really interesting. That's something I certainly didn't know about. And you know, like I was saying when we were coming back in here, that your center is great for people who either have a job or don't have a job. And Kristen, we were talking about some of the professional networking opportunities available. So tell me what you guys do for folks that have a job and just might want some help.
Sure, we have a professional networking group that meets on Monday mornings from 9 to 12. And that group can be for passive job seekers, whether maybe you're in the transition of looking for a different job, or for those who have maybe unfortunately been downsized or unemployed for a period of time. They're more than welcome to come to our Workforce Development Center on Monday mornings to meet with this professional networking group. And really they just kind of try to every week network with each other, as well as learn different resume tips, interviewing tips, job searching ideas, suggestions. And it's really become a great networking group over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, it's grown because of all the unemployment. But it's definitely become a great group for partnerships. A lot of individuals that have found jobs within other areas or outside of Racine have continued to stay in touch with other job seekers and really are searching for them on their behalf, whether it's at their company they're at now or just, you know, keeping them in the loop of things that they hear.
And networking is so invaluable. You know, just having that skill. I don't think everybody has it, but just being able to learn that within a comfortable environment, I'm sure, is very helpful. And are you finding that a lot of the folks that come into you do get jobs just because, oh, hey, I know so-and-so has something open?
Definitely. There are a lot of success stories coming out of that ProTech professional networking group. And when people get jobs, they bring in donuts to celebrate. And
That's
say
always
goodbye
nice,
to their friends. And then they move along, and it's amazing. It's a well-known opportunity at the center, but we still run into professionals who are unemployed or in transition, and we ask them if they've heard of it, and they haven't heard of it. So there's always new people coming in. And every person you meet during your job search can be the key to your next job. So it really is a good opportunity.
And where do you find most of the folks coming into your center are coming from? Are they coming from word of mouth? Are they being referred to you all?
Variety of ways. Some people have been coming over the years when they were in between jobs, so they're well aware of our services. And we're in the same building with Human Services, so if people are coming in to get food stamps or other assistance, they would find out about our services that way too.
Okay, great. Another thing that was interesting that we were talking about a little bit earlier, the person who's in a job right now who thinks, gosh, maybe I have a skill for a different type of career. Kristen, is this a good time to try to switch careers or make a different path?
I think it's always a good time. You know, and at the center we can help you with that. We have a lot of skill assessments as well as interest or personality assessments that if you're kind of not sure what you want to do and you want to come to the center to find out, we have some assessments that may help you determine, you know, what's your best skill set in as well as your interest. And then you can meet with a career counselor to determine what's a good fit for you. So I always think it's a good time at any time, if anyone, you know, no matter what age you are, if you're looking to change careers or not sure, you just want to look at something else, you know, we have a lot of services available.
And Kristen, I know you were encouraging these type of folks to come to the career fair, even if you already do have a job.
Definitely. I think we want to open up to even those that are passively looking, that maybe they're happy where they're at and they've been there for a while, but maybe they're just a little bit on the unhappy side that they want to transition into something else. There's a lot of opportunities for them available.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to take another quick break here this morning, but we'll be right back with more information on the career fair that is coming up in just a couple weeks in coordination with Workforce Development in Racine County. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, if you're in need of a new job or you're just looking for a job within Racine County, there's a career fair that is coming up on April 12th. We're talking a little bit about the folks that can attend this, and this is open to anyone within the county, Jane?
Definitely. We're hosting it at Gateway, so sometimes people might think it's only for graduates, but it really is for everyone in the community. We're looking for all different skill levels, so a lot of the employers would be looking for more than just an associate degree in terms of experience or education.
So we're talking either a bachelor's or a master's degree for some of these positions?
Maybe not so much a master's degree, but upwards of an associate degree, and definitely experience. We're hearing that they really need the experience so that they can hit the ground running.
And it's not just having experience doing one thing for your whole entire life. Kristen, I know we were talking about that skill gap. So tell me what people can do to make themselves more marketable to an employer.
Sure. I mean, like some of the, we've touched on some of these points previously, but when you come to the job fair, you want to make sure you're ready to network. You're ready, you have your, happy face on, and you're ready to connect and network with employers. So you make sure you want to dress appropriately, as well as come to the job fair and come prepared. Come with your resume and come ready to talk to them and tell each employer, what you're looking for, what you're interested in. But maybe before you come, you also want to do a little preparation. As we get closer to the fair, we'll have listed on our website the job or the employers that will be in attendance. So maybe you want to do some preparation beforehand and kind of find out and do a little digging, look on their different websites, find out who's going to be there, what jobs they're looking for, and how you may be a good fit, so that when you're ready to talk with them, you're prepared with what to say and you already know what jobs they're looking for.
And that certainly will set you apart, just
Definitely.
having some knowledge, shown that you've done the legwork before you've actually gotten there. And at this point, you have a few employers that are already signed up, but you're looking for some more, Jane.
Definitely. We can accommodate upwards of 40 employers. And it's not unusual at this point in time for us to see the numbers that we have, because a lot of employers will wait until the last minute or wait until it gets closer to see exactly which job openings they're going to need to fill at the fair.
And just give me a brief rundown of the industries that you're covering at this point.
Well, we've already talked about healthcare and manufacturing. We also have the Army signed up, and we'll see some other training programs. There will be other educational institutions that will probably be there. And service, retail, all kinds of different jobs actually that will be there.
Okay, so again, that is coming up on April 12th, and that is from 1 to 5, and it's available for anybody, and it's at the Gateway, grab my sheet here, the Gateway Technical College, the Racine Lake building, as you can see here on the graphic in front of you. So folks don't need to sign up beforehand, just show up.
Yeah, they can just show up that day.
Just show up that day. Any other things that you guys have? I know you have so many different resources available at the Workforce Development Center. Any other events that folks should know about coming up?
Our event calendar is on our website, so there's always plenty going on there. We do have an event for employers on LinkedIn, on how to use LinkedIn, and that will be held on Tuesday the 5th of April. So employers are invited to that. And then Gateway always has events and activities going on, and I would encourage anyone who comes to the career fair to make sure that they stop by the Gateway booth and find out what skills they might be lacking, or what training programs, either short-term or long-term, that Gateway could offer them to help them get to the next step in their careers.
So what a great partnership you have there between you all and then being right at the college and then also having those employers. So this is definitely a place that folks, they're going to find a job. Yes. I'm confident of it. And have you seen success, Kristen, within the job fairs that you have had in the past?
We have, even when the economy was down last year, we hosted a job fair last March, and we had over 1,000 job seekers attend that job fair. And so we've seen a lot of success stories come out. The economy is on the rise again, and it's really great news for everyone to hear. So hopefully with this one, as in the past, we'll see a lot of new success stories coming out.
Wonderful. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining me this morning. We really do appreciate it, and best of luck to you as you host the job fair coming up on April 12th. And,
Thank you.
And just keep on helping those folks, because I know you're doing great things and everyone really appreciates your services.
Thanks for having us.
So thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us here on Racine and Me. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again here next week.